Hey y'all, it's Kim from KGD Creative. Welcome to my channel. I'm here today with a card for Mom. Sunday is Mother's Day and it's the perfect time for a reminder to the mom or moms in your life how much you love them. While you're here, if you're not a subscriber to my channel, I would be honored if you would become one. And while you're at it, hit that little bell icon so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Also, if this video offers value to you, I would love it if you would give me a thumbs up. Now here's our card. I'm making a stamped card today. I'm going to do some masking, which is something that I'm not 100% comfortable with, but I watched Bug in her video and on her tutorial this past week. Watched her stamp out what she called a beta, or an example of what she wanted, without using any masking, so that you would know what you want in front versus what you want to go behind, because you want to stamp what you want in front first and then mask up and start stamping things that are going behind. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm stamping out the word Mom from Maymay Made It Stamp Set Flowers for Mom. And I'm using Memento Dew drop inks in Dandelion and Angel Pink. I did the main word in the Dandelion and I'm doing the shadow layer in Angel Pink. And I don't use this ink very often, and this is a brand new stamp to me. And so I had to stamp it up a couple of times and use my Misty. Thank goodness for the Misty. Because without it, I cannot stamp. You'll see in just a little bit what happens when I, just stamp willy-nilly without the stamp positioner. So I've stamped that out, and I've also stamped out that same image on some Brutus and Monroe masking paper. And fussy cut that out, and I've covered up the word Mom. Now you're going to notice I've made a mistake. And I don't realize I've made a mistake until it's too late, and so I just go with it, because like Maymay says, we don't do perfect. So now I'm going to stamp the larger flower cluster from that same stamp set over on the right side. I've got a schmutz of something on it I'm trying to erase off. I've probably had ink on that stamp. I'm using Memento Tuxedo black ink because at this point I think that I'm going to be using some alcohol markers to color. I do change my mind and later on use colored pencils, but at any rate the Memento Tuxedo black ink still works fine. And I do stamp that twice to get a really good clean and crisp image. I'm going to clean that off, and I'm going to mask that part, the larger floral image. I want it behind the word Mom, but in front of the smaller cluster of flowers that I'm going to stamp onto the left side of the word Mom. I'm going to use my Memento Tuxedo black ink again, and I will stamp this down twice. And you'll see me interchangeably use my little towel or my little stamp tool that I've shown y'all before. I do have arthritis in my hands, and so it's hard for me just to press down on the Misty. Cleaning that stamp off. And it's time to reveal what we have masked. So I'm going to take my craft pick and pull up my masks. You can save those masks if you want. I didn't, just because, who knows when I'll use this again. But right there, you're going to see the mistake I made. I did not cut out the inside of my O. And I should have, so that I could have gotten that whole flower cluster back behind the O. But we're just going to pretend that that's the way it's supposed to be and go on with it. So I took some colored pencils and colored my images, and now I'm taking a rectangle die and I'm just going to cut that out. I think that rectangle die measures 3 7/8 by 2 5/8. You can certainly use a paper trimmer to do this, but I just like using dies. And I used my Gemini Junior. And you're going to see that my die did not cut completely all the way through. So I'm going to have to take my scissors here in just a second and finish cutting it. That's the first time I've used that particular die with my Gemini Junior and with that with my little mat, and so the magic mat. And so I think that I maybe should have had a shim, or I probably could have run it through twice and it been fine. Having said that, I don't know that it's so much the die and the die machine as it is the paper. I'm using a very thick white cardstock, and so that very possibly could be the issue. Now I'm going to take some green polka dot paper. This is from Echo Park's Dots and Stripes Spring Collection, and I'm going to cut it at 4 by 5 1/4. And then I'm going to cut a yellow piece out of that same collection to 1 and let's see, I think that's 1 3/4 by 5 1/4, and then a pink piece from the Gingham collection. I'm going to cut it 1 inch by 5 1/4, and just make a little colored spring colored background on my card mat. I do choose to use the more muted side of the pattern paper. The polka dots, you have white polka dots on one side, and then on the other side you have the same shade or the same color, just a lighter shade polka dot. So that's what I'm using. And then the smaller gingham side is what I'm using for the pink. I just like the pink, the yellow, and green together. It looks very springy, and it matches the colored pencils that I used. Just putting that down, making sure it fits how I want it to, and it's going to look good. So now I'm going to take a piece of the green that I had left, and I'm going to cut it down to 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to take a piece of white and cut me a 1/2 inch strip. I'm going to do my sentiment on this. And I cut 2 strips. Not sure I was going to need them, but you'll find out another mistake I make in a little bit. I do need them. So I'm going to take the stamp that says, "To the world you are a," from the same stamp set, so that it will eventually say, "To the world you are a mom." I'm going to stamp that on the white cardstock, but I cut it a 1/2 inch. I'm going to use the Memento Tuxedo black ink again. And again, I'm using my Misty because I want to be able to stamp it twice if I need to. Ink that stamp up. And I've already inked it up and stamped it just to make sure, because it is a new stamp. Off camera you don't see it. Thankfully I did that. You'll find out in a minute why. So I'm just going to center this on the green polka dot paper. Glue it down using Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. I'll have links to all of the products that I use in the description box below. Just going to cut that at an angle. And so on the outside of the card it's going to say, "To the world you are a mom." So now I'm ready to glue my card mat or my card front to my card base using the Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. It's cut just slightly smaller than my A2 card base, so it's leaving a little bit of a white border around. I'm going to use some Scotch double-sided foam mounting tape to adhere my colored panel, stamped and colored panel, to the front of my card. It's not one of my cards if I don't use some kind of foam tape to pop something up. I'm just going to adhere that there to the middle of my card. And then I want my sentiment to be partially on the colored card mat and partially off. So I'll use a little piece, a little strip of foam mounting tape, Scotch foam mounting tape, and a little bit of glue. So the part that's on my card front will have the foam mounting tape on it. The part that is on my stamped and colored image will actually just have glue. That way it's even with the colored panel. Now I'm going to stamp the rest of the sentiment on the inside. It's going to say, "But to us, you are the world." And here I go, willy-nilly stamping. Just, I'm ready. I've stamped up my ink. I've inked up my stamp, rather. And I'm just going to slap it there in the middle of the card. And what in the world do I do? But I smear it. And it looks terrible. So I'm not going to be outdone. I have practice stamped this sentiment on another strip somewhere just to make sure it's stamped well. So I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to adhere it to another piece of green polka dot paper, just like I did on the front. Cut it at an angle just like I did on the front, and glue it right over that boo-boo to make it look like, yep, that's what I meant to do. That's totally not what I meant to do. And at that, I got that a little bit crooked, but we're going with it. Now I'm going to stamp the word world using the dandelion yellow ink, the Memento dandelion ink. So our sentiment on the front says, "To the world you are a mom," and you open it up and it says, "But to us you are the world." Now I want to add some a little bit of sparkle to the front of the card. I have these little dewdrop gems that look like water droplets. I just think they're so pretty. I want to put them on everything. And so I'm going to just do a little trail of them with a few from the up at the top right. You'll see me, I'm going to put some down and then decide. I'll move them and get them in place like I want them. There I go, moving it. I want it to trail from the top right down toward the bottom left. So I have 3 up at the top and 2 at the bottom, giving us 5 gems. I always like to do odd numbers because that's what we're told to do. And I'm nothing but a rule follower. Get them placed using my craft pick. Just scooping the extras off with that scrap piece of paper. I'm going to get my Barely Art Precision craft glue and come in and just do little drops, pop them on. I'm using my double-ended jewel picker to help pick those up and get those put in place. I really do like that jewel picker. I've used several different tools in my time of crafting for picking up jewels and sequins and stuff. This one actually is my favorite. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. I hope you enjoyed the card. This card is made as part of the Maymay Made It Pictorial Design Team, where I, along with 5 other wonderful ladies, submit at least 2 projects each month over on Maymay's Instagram page. I'll place a link to that in the description box below. These ladies absolutely blow me away with their projects every time. They are amazing. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would be honored if you would. and hit that little bell icon so that you can be notified each time I upload a new video. And while you're at it, give this one a thumbs up. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye!